Hey everyone, I'm Erin Saxton, that girl from Jersey, and with me is my friend Mark Hattas. He is the author of Awakening the Optimal Leader, and this is going to be fun.
Yes.
So Mark and I have been friends for actually not too long.
No.
But you know when you meet a friend that you meet somebody and you just automatically are like, oh my gosh, I've known this person for like ever. That's you for me. Right?
We had fun.
Do you not feel the same way about me?
Well, maybe. Yes, of course.
It's all right.
We had fun.
We did have fun. And you know what I liked about it is we met at a work conference, and I didn't know too much about you. And it was like unwrapping a gift. A really crazy layered gift, by the way. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say crazy.
It fits.
I'm kidding. You'll see why that's funny in a second.
I've been told that before.
So Mark and I we're irreverent with each other. And so this interview may be off-putting to some because we laugh at ourselves and we have fun through laughter. And, you know, we just are transparent in our conversation. And so to kick that off in the spirit of our friendship, why don't you tell people, this is how I meet him. They're like, hey, Mark, tell everybody about you. And you say, well, do the whole technology
that
company.
Whole thing?
Like
okay.
your whole intro.
Like that whole thing. They want to hear it too?
They do.
All right.
I mean, like imagine you're just sitting at a table and this is what I get hit with. Ready, go.
All right. So I built and sold a technology company. We built it up to 20 million in sales. We had about 150 people. And it was 9 months after that, I ended up in the psych ward, which needs to be unpacked a little bit, but end up in the psych ward. And for 3 years, I go in and out of mental health in that whole world. I was told there's no cure, that I'd be on medication the rest of my life, most likely, and that they had no idea what the cause was. Thankfully, after that, should I give the ending or no?
Sure.
Okay. So thankfully, after 3 years of that, I did find solutions, and I've been now for 4+ years off all medications, very healthy, vibrant, and bringing solutions for people in that world. But also, the things I learned, I would have loved to have as an entrepreneur. So I mentor and support and serve entrepreneurs and business leaders as well in cultural transformations and really setting up for success.
And my response was, wow, you grew a company to $20 million? What's wrong with me? Right?
And I said, that's the question you ask? What's wrong with you?
And I was kidding. But, you know, I was like, okay, mental note, literally, don't build a company up so big that you need to get into the psych ward, yes. Right? So really, what about that? Because we've talked to friends that we think maybe certain incidents in lives trigger moments, whether it's a PTSD or it's just you're revealing an abuse or something, and you need the right tools to deal with that. Where do you feel this was triggered? Was it the stress of running it and then you had nothing to do anymore and then all of a sudden your body released? I mean, all kidding aside, walk me through where...
Yeah, and all kidding aside, I mean, mental health challenges are very serious.
Yes, of course. That's why we're doing this interview.
Yes, but on the other side of it, there's a lot of joy and it's a lot of fun to bring solutions to people. What was the question again?
Oh, see?
So
did the stress of selling the $20 million spark this, or just happen?
I just wanted to do that setup first. So here's what my non-therapeutic assessment is. There was a model that I had for how to be, and it was be successful, be productive, be extraordinary, mostly because I saw so many people around me as I grew up, successful and extraordinary, you know, from mom and dad to other people. And everyone has different perceptions on that, but when I didn't feel adequate enough to reach where I thought I could be, there was this gap that grew. And so I put on a persona and another and another. I wanted to be liked, I wanted to please people, you know, built the companies so that I could be wealthy, so I didn't have to depend on anybody. And that was all stripped away. The awards, the accolades, the people asking me for my opinion. Suddenly I'm at home and no one was asking me my opinion anymore.
That's tough.
And there was an identity crisis. And I was sitting in the dining room thinking, who am I? And I had spent so much time at work, so much time on work relationships that I don't think my wife and I really even knew each other anymore. And I was 38 years old, she was 37, and we had 5 children. We still do.
Duly noted. So that's, I mean, honestly, so that's intense. I get that. And lonely.
It was very
I would
lonely.
be lonely.
It was very lonely, even though I was surrounded by people who loved me, and I loved them. But it was just that shift. It was like a schism opened up that where did all that go, and now what do I do? So actually, with some of the money that I had earned, I started to invest in things. So I just want to be part of something, and really stupid things, and lost a bunch of money. But it took me a while to get grounded in who I was again, and realize I'm not the business I created.
Right, your identity is not that, and they say that with parenting too, right? You know, like your identity as a parent isn't how gifted your athlete is on the ice. But who he is off the ice, or who she is off the soccer field. And is she or he polite, right? I mean, that's a direct response or a reflection of your parenting, but not whether he scored 5 goals or...
Well, and I would go even further. It's like, who does he or she think they are?
Right.
When they don't score the goals? What's their perception? Because there's the parents' perception, the kids' perception, and the parents, I mean, one of the things that I learned through this process is to allow for all of our children to be who they are. And just our number one job is to be love in their presence. You know, all the other stuff, the parenting rules or whatever we concocted was a good parent, that's BS. It's a belief system that we've concocted to have some decorum of comparison.
BS, belief system. See what I did there?
I did not invent that.
I know,
Neither did
but I
you,
like
but
that.
you like
I
it.
didn't invent it. I just paused dramatically and enunciated it, so now I look really smart.
That was good.
I know, thanks. So when you work with people now, like, so you finally, I guess let's speed to the, like, cut to the chase.
Yeah.
So now you're doing well,
Yes. Health-wise?
health-wise, and you've created a new company.
Yeah. 3 of them.
Okay.
Yes.
And so tell me about those.
So first off, after I got healthy, I wanted to create a nonprofit. So I joined with the Montague Bowers and Wallens to create the Hattas International Foundation. So we have solutions for people with mental health. So that was key. The second business is all around bringing organizational transformation. It's about creating the culture in your environment and bringing the optimal skills to your environment so that you can have the culture that you really want. And when that happens, there's an engagement level that grows. So it looks like executive mentoring. It looks like going through a program we created called Optimal Being and allowing your teams to go through that. It's a powerful, transformative solution. And then, can I hold the book for just a minute?
You sure can.
And then, did you show this yet?
I did.
Oh, good. So it's not like revealing or anything.
Way to have a co-producer on the set with me. Thank you.
I've never
done
this before.
If this show wins an award, I guess you think you're going to get the Emmy with me.
No.
Everyone's a producer.
But I will buy you dinner.
Dinner, like you did last night.
Thank you.
I bought dinner. This guy.
Ah, she's so good.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It was
this
a donation. Just so you know.
cut. I'm all red now.
No, this is rolling. This is what I mean.
See, so
this
I'm
is
not
all
really-
making air.
So I'm not really co-producing. All right. So let's go back to what we were talking
Just
about.
being a supportive friend and let you think you are.
So
I'm allowing you to be an optimal being.
you're so good at that.
It's my own BS belief systems.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to
Let's continue.
I'm not going to continue with that.
No, it's fine.
All right.
I'll hold this book.
So,
you tell your story.
The book. Here's what happened. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. So when I realized I was getting healthy, something happened. There's in all of us a guidance system. It's like an inner GPS system that guides us to happiness and well-being and what's best. Not only for us individually, but our family, for our companies. And so what we do is really support people in tuning into that and then aligning the organization to really move into that as well. So the book was an inspiration to share with people the possibilities of what could happen. So it's a future kind of story. But it's not just the book, it's about the potential of creating a custom version for each company.
And
So
talk to me about that. What does that mean? Do you need a company with a certain amount of employees, or do you could even be doing this for a solopreneur?
Well, it would be a solopreneur, probably not. It would be someone with some employees, people that...
What about a solopreneur who had a
Lots.
few different personalities?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
I'll edit that out.
Yeah.
No, I won't.
No, that was good. So, yeah, I also had many personalities.
I know.
But over time, those also integrated. That's a cool thing about this is we all have those inner voices, those inner critics or what have you. Some of us have named them. But as the Optimal Being program was being implemented, one of the things that I started to achieve was unification of that. So now there's one voice.
Awesome.
And it's just funny sometimes, serious other times, and et cetera. But one of the gifts that came as I started to get well was this gift of story. And it's a fascinating story, and it applies to all of us, because though each person who goes through the programs and receives the mentoring from our organization receives it differently, the gifts will show up. So the gift of story for me was just this incredible speed at which I could do something like this. This took 90 minutes.
To write?
To write.
That's amazing.
It was. And I attribute it to, can I tell the story of my son?
Yes, please.
Okay. So
I
in
like that.
2015, my son, Henry, was 9 years old. And he says, "Dad, would you lay down with me at night and share a story with me?" And I said, "Sure." So like any good parent, I go in and I'm trying to think of a story. So the first story was like a turtle and a dog or something and a couple characters. And I was working at it. Yeah. So then the next night he says, "Dad, would you lay down with me and share a story?" And I said, "Well, sure, yeah." So I come up with another one, then another night. So 6, 7 nights go by and I run out of stories.
Of course.
So suddenly I hear this clear inner guidance say, "Don't tell him a story tonight, allow a story to come," which I didn't wrap my mind around. I just said,
Yeah, because at the time, are you thinking, what's the difference? I thought the dog and the turtle story was the story coming, right?
Well, I knew it was different because
Okay.
I was told, like, don't do this, do this.
Okay.
Okay. So I took a breath. Now, this might sound strange to people who haven't gone through a mental health thing, but I'm going to explain it here. Imagine this is the core of your being, and you've layered on personas. And let's say you're operating from this persona. Mm-hmm. And this persona, the true nature of your being, wants to express. That's what was coming out. It's like, some might call it, connectedness with God or Source or what have you, the Holy Spirit, depending on your faith background. But it's the true nature of our being. It starts to come forward. So the way it came forward for me is my lips began to move, words came out of my mouth, and this story came out. It was the best story that ever came out of my mouth.
Really?
But it was kind of like, at the time,
Yes.
It was kind of like I'd paid $5 to go see a movie, and I was witnessing the story.
Wow.
So at the end, I turned to Henry, and I say, "Hey, what'd you think of that?" Because I was in awe, like what just happened there.
Right.
And he takes his fingers out of his mouth and gives me a thumbs up and says, "Dad, that was really good. But I know it's just going to get better.
Wow.
I know you're just learning," is
God.
what my 9-year-old tells me. And he was right. And like any gift, the more we share it, the more it grows. And it grew and grew and grew until about a year and a half later, this came out in 90 minutes. And the vision came with it to go into companies and do an intake about what's their vision, what are they trying to create as a culture, where are they now, where are the roadblocks, and create a hero's journey story for these companies so that when new employees come, they can hand the book to the new potential employee, let's call it, and say, before you work here, read this. See if you want to help create it. And then they step in and they're putting their stamp on it, but they're all in. And the number one issue in companies is engagement.
So what an incredible onboarding process, right?
Yeah.
Or even do you give this during an interview to say, because this book's amazing, and it's set in 2037.
Yes.
And at first you're like, what's going on? Like it's 2019. I found myself going, wait, this is my friend Mark. It's 2019. He starts in 2017 in the book, jumps to 2037, and I went, oh, it's a story. Oh, because I'm like, wait, I thought his kids were younger, and there's his kids married in this. And I'm like, what? And, it just, because it presented itself as a book that I thought it was a business book. And then I thought, oh, I guess I'm wrong. And then I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, it's something way bigger than that. And it is layered, but yet not, like, you are speaking from source, because I thought that, wow, there's so many lessons and so many, and it's such an easy, quick read, and it's so digestible. And I thought, this guy's brilliant. And then I just thought, no,
And you realized I didn't really actually know even how it was written, right?
Well, and then I thought, oh, he paid $5 to watch it like a movie, so,
I got to experience it too.
But it was great. And so this came out of you just letting go in that moment and just writing?
It was, so I audio recorded it.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, and then had it transcribed, and then it went to the editor. But just editing for some minor things, the story was intact.
Awesome. And so now you'll do this with other companies with their voice?
We will, our organization.
Wait, you meaning not you personally, or only you, just the whole company.
Yeah.
I know,
yeah.
I get it.
So we'll go.
It's not just him.
Yes.
There's more of him.
Many of me.
There's many people work with you.
Thank you.
Let's keep that clear.
Yes.
So, okay, so that's great. So mentally, how are you doing now?
Great. What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Jury's still out. Now, so mentally, I would say that
I love it.
I'm at the top of my game. I'm very in tune, and I know what I want. I didn't always. How many entrepreneurs are out there that I call it double-mindedness?
Absolutely.
Indecision. That's left. It used to be where I lived, and now it's a level of confidence and trust. But I'm trusting myself, I'm trusting others, I'm trusting the orderliness, or not orderliness, it's not a word.
Let's make it a word.
Call it trusting the universe, trusting God, trusting this world that we live in is really very orderly. And I used to look at it as completely chaotic. Self-love is there, that used to be non-existent. And love of others is very high. And that used to be non-existent. I used to use people, as, well, not all people, but a lot of people as objects to achieve something. And now I see people as people, and we get to do something together. It's much more collaborative rather than competitive.
Or calculated.
Yeah, that sounds like such a dirty word.
Calculated?
Yeah.
Well,
like manipulated.
Business is like chess, some people think. There's strategy, there's pawns, there's
It's
things.
how I was taught.
That's what I'm saying. I understand what, and I think a lot of us, heck, before today, I think I thought that as well. Not that there wasn't love. I mean, I love everyone, and I express that through my silliness and my playfulness. But I want to talk to people that have gone through certain transitions and transformations, because I think that there's a lot of people that are scared.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that don't talk about things. And I think that we all need to just start being a little more open, and if that means vulnerable, okay. I think that it's important because there's somebody that's listening that might not be ready to talk, but who's ready to heal.
And one of the things with people who are going through something like that, the greatest opportunity we have is to support someone going through a transformation. And so many people are stuck cycling through their patterns. So what if we can create an opportunity for our employees and our executives and team partners to really move through some of that stuff with grace and ease? And that's what we're about, is supporting that.
Yeah, I love that. What about now? Do you contact businesses who are going through mergers and acquisitions? And I mean, how are you helping the marks of the, businesses are being sold every day? I sold 2 companies already. I mean, that first day after you don't go to that office, I think I probably could have used a Mark Hattas.
Yeah, anyone who's going through any life transition, any company transition, could benefit from some of the stuff that we're doing. The opportunity for, I think, everybody is to just reconnect with the true nature of their being, and from there, mine came in the form of story, but yours might come in the form of an acquisition, or the next hire, or a brilliant vision, or brilliant execution strategy. By staying present there and then inviting your organization to do so as well, it leads to an acceleration of our vision and an expansion of the vision as well. A friend of mine read this, and she's she's written 15 books or something. And she said, Mark, what I loved about it was my vision of what I'm doing just got really big after reading this. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what everyone's going to experience with it. But the opportunity is there to support people in fully transforming. Imagine, one quick side note, I'm
scared about this.
Imagine a suppressed caterpillar who is afraid to go build the chrysalis. There's a lot of people out there that are like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And instead of turning inward toward allowing the transformation, they try to push it away.
Right.
It leads to disaster.
Or just nothing beautiful.
Or nothing beautiful. Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, disaster is a little strong.
Well, I mean, chrysalis, caterpillar, disaster.
Yeah, it doesn't
I don't know about that, but I know what you mean. And sometimes there's so much in the world that can be done, but people are afraid. And then there's people that are going after what they can do, but then people think they are literally crazy.
Oh yeah.
And they're the dabblers, or they're the entrepreneurs, or they have their hands in so many cookie jars, and and then we have a world where people truly have mental health issues, and so one could be presenting one way, but they're really them, and that it's just, I think we all need to just kind of open our eyes a little more and really just talk to people more. Would you agree?
In a major way, I would. But it's how we talk to them, right? So what you're describing, think of it as, let's imagine a range. And on the one end, you have someone thriving in all areas of their life. I don't know anybody who has all of that put together, but let's just pretend.
Besides me.
Yeah, besides.
That's a joke. Total sarcasm.
So let's pretend that's the far end.
Go down that scale.
So as we move down the scale, people have life issues.
Yes.
A divorce, a loss of someone. Something happens in the business. They lose a deal or a partner or whatever it is. So something happens. It's, do we have the skills and capabilities to support ourselves in moving through that, staying connected with that inner guidance such that we can navigate back? Well, if we judge ourselves or others here, or blame and push it away, that then grows into something that's a little more significant. And then if we continue to push it away, it can start to look like what happened with me, a mental health diagnosis. And on the spectrum of a mental health diagnosis, in 1 in 4 people in companies, they struggle with anxiety, and only half of them tell their employee or employer. So what if we could give that whole range solutions to support that culture in wherever they are, tuning in to their optimal being and making the best choice for them at that moment. And by making the best choice for them, it's making the best choice for the company, because they chose to come there. So if they know why they're there and they're tuned in with that, the ship starts to move in the direction that's optimal.
Anxiety, you bring it up. I mean, nervousness, worry, ward, anxiety, they're all just different. I don't know anybody who doesn't experience that. And I almost think what used to be, a headache, we used to get headaches. And let's pretend that we wouldn't be talking about that as much. Now these days you have, it's so easy. You just say, I have a headache. I have a feeling that if we can just keep up the dialogue, we'll be more open to say, oh, I'm having anxiety right now.
Yes.
Just like I'm having a headache, I need an aspirin or ibuprofen or something. And, or I need to meditate, or I'm not saying there's pills for everything, but, or I need lavender or whatever it is for them. But there's no reason to be kind of mealy-mouthed about having a headache anymore.
Well, let's say you say to your employer, I have anxiety, I'm feeling anxious. Mm. If that employer shuts you down and demeans you for not being able to come to the big meeting or what have you, that's one approach, and that'll lead to that person probably not bringing it up, and others too.
Right.
So does the organization have the language and the support such that when someone does come with that, they have the leadership tools to be able to support that individual? Now, support, some people might think, well, what, do I have to listen to this person for 4 hours and as they process their stuff? No, it doesn't mean that. When you have the skills, it could be a half-hour conversation or 10 minutes, but it's something that is going to be supportive of that person moving from anxiety into productivity and joy and that happy, place where they're going to really bring it all, which is where we want our team anyway, at home and work.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it just comes down to finding out where you're saying spectrum, I'm saying sliding scale, but sliding not downward or upward. I'm just saying sliding. Mm-hmm. Because spectrum to me sounds like autism, and we're not, and we could be talking about that, but it's not all encompassing that. But kind of like, where are you on the grid? And
everyone's somewhere, right?
Well, everyone, if you're fogging a mirror, is somewhere on this grid.
Right.
Right. If you're alive, if you're walking this earth, you're on the grid. So just because you're on the grid doesn't mean you have a mental illness or anxiety or even a headache. It just means you're alive, so you fit on this optimal, and you're on the grid.
And different people at different times have judged people on the grid. Like, there's a thriving over there, and then maybe some people are judging the person here.
Right.
Some are judging here, some are judging here. And that creates a dynamic that's really, what was the word I used before? Destructive.
Destructive.
It's not healthy.
Yeah.
So we need.
You mean when you were talking about the caterpillar?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but here it's kind of appropriate.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. So it would be destructive. So can we bring the solutions to support them where they're at, wherever we are? And as the leader of the organization, I was struggling with this, and I wasn't conscious and aware of it. I denied it. Mm. I was putting on such a show so that I could be perceived in a certain way, and I was living into my vision, which it's good to have a vision, but many entrepreneurs get lost in that. I was living into my vision and not being present. But now I'm present and I have a vision, and we're moving toward it rather than,
catching up to what the facade that you were creating.
Just right. Instead of doing that, just being and enjoying the being process.
Awesome. So if companies wanted to find out more about you and the work that all of you are doing, where can they go and check you out?
Yeah, so there's two things that I'll share. One, on the mental health side, because we talked about that, go to journeysdream.org.
Great organization.
Thank you, Erin. And on the business side, go to optimalbeing.live, or we call it live, because live.
I see.
But optimalbeing.live, that'll get access to us and me and communication. You could also email me. Can you share that?
Sure.
Mark at rooka.com, ROOKHA.com.
And where can they buy this book?
This is on Amazon, and it's also on the optimalbeing.live site and the journeysdream.org site.
Excellent.
But it'll just take them to Amazon anyway.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Erin.
I really do love you.
Thank you. Okay. Love you too.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you soon.